We have David Hall, Executive Chairman of Stratex International, a London-listed exploration and development company with a focus on precious and base metals in Turkey and Ethiopia. Now, David, can you just give us an outline of your portfolio for Stratex?
In Turkey, we have a couple of properties which we're moving to production with a partner, and then also some advanced exploration projects, likewise with a major company partner. And then in Ethiopia, we've started only about a year ago and developed a portfolio in two areas, one in what's called the Arabian-Nubian Shield Rocks in the north of the country, and then a conceptual discovery that started a couple of years ago where we decided to look for new gold districts. And that led us into the Rift Valley, where no one had ever looked for gold before, and resulted in last October with the Magenta gold discovery in what is a totally virgin area for gold exploration in the world. And so we've been supporting that with further exploration.
And what was the, how did you know that you wanted to go to the Rift Valley, or how did that come about?
We worked with myself and Bob Foster and with a colleague and consultant, Dr. Richard Silto. Looked at a certain model called bonanza gold deposits with what are called bimodal volcanics, which is high silica felsics and magnesium-rich basaltic rocks. They are known to host very rich gold deposits in veins in a number of parts of the world. Taking that model, we decided to look where that could also occur and led us into the Rift Valley. We looked at stuff in Kenya, looked at Lake District in Ethiopian Rift Valley, and as I said, last October we ended up in what's called the Afar Depression, working on the basis of data that we acquire from geothermal research, where these gold deposits are known to associated with active hot springs. So we were looking at the hot springs and actually driving our way back to the road, or trying to find our way back to the road, when we drove straight onto the Magenta gold discovery, right next to the highway, never been recognized before, and with outcropping gold mineralization. So quite a unique discovery. People term grassroots discoveries.
Okay, so if we look at Turkey, could you explain, you want to fast track the gold production in Lichi and Altın Tepe. Can you explain the process that you're going to go through, how you're going to move this into production? Well,
Lichi was a discovery of ours with about 250,000 ounces. Altın Tepe was a project that was offered to us by our major company partner, Teck. They were hoping there was maybe 2 million ounces there. We reviewed it, we drilled it and said, no, there isn't, but actually there's about 500,000 ounces. When the crash happened, so 2008, our policy of working with partners is that they're looking for the big ones. These are small deposits, but in the current gold price, highly economic. Our Stratex, as you said, is an exploration development company. We are not a mining company, but you make value out of mining. So we found a local Turkish partner who is keen to become a gold producer in Turkey. They've got some mining experience, mainly in coal, and they've decided to partner us, and they're funding $5.5 million to feasibility study on these two projects. At which stage, with feasibility study in hand, we press the button to go to production, and Stratex will have 45% of that project. So we've, again, same as passing on and sharing risk with the major mining companies at the exploration stage. All we've done here is share the mining risk with a partner who wants to be into production, but has mining expertise, which we don't want to get involved in, because it's very time-consuming for a small company. It involves metallurgists, mine engineers, mineral process engineers, and we're really exploration geologists and exploration company. Yeah,
and so your exploration areas in Turkey, you've got 3. Could you just go into a bit more detail with that?
I can. Oxford, which is in central Anatolia, again was a discovery made by Barry Yildiz and his team. Outcropping gold mineralization, which hadn't been found before. We did an early phase of drilling with 8 drill holes, come up with very encouraging values, and that attracted the attention of Centerra Gold, a Canadian mid-tier producer. They produce about 1 million ounces a year. They were looking to expand in Turkey. They liked the project and are currently funding $3 million of exploration, and we are now moving to a 3rd phase of drilling with them. With some very exciting results. So the target size they're looking at probably is about 2 million ounces.
Okay, yeah. And the timeline for these key exploration areas in Turkey?
Well, we've been putting news out regularly, as Stratex generally does. We have a very good, transparent news flow and like to update the market all the time. Next year, we move into another probably 4,000 metres on Oxford. And that will be, as news flow, will be news coming out as those results. And the project expands really with a view, can we actually define 2 million ounces, which is a Centerra target? Of course, we're free carried, they're paying for it, with the result that we should end up with 30%, hopefully, of a 2 million ounce gold deposit, with the ability to then to contribute to putting that mine into production.
Okay, so you've got a good history in partnership forming. It's part of your Stratex International's key objectives. Going forward, do you still see a need for good partners?
I think, again, as I said before, we are an exploration development company. We see the major mining companies as our buyers of the product. Our product is making discoveries, which we can do for a very low cost. So often with projects, we spend no more than $150,000, and we get these partners in spending $3-4 million for 51%. So that's the value-added side of the business, and also, of course, by that exploration, they're adding value. And taking the projects forward. If they walk away, for example, at Oxford with Centerra, and we end up with 1 million ounces, we will then use that, and we will do exactly what we've done with the Leach and Alton Tepe. We will put that into special purpose production vehicle and still see the value from finding gold. In the meantime, we're still working with our major partners to look for a major discovery. And of course, major discoveries are rare. I mean, let's be clear. I mean, I've said often, failure is the norm in our business.
Yeah.
In finding an economic deposit.
Yes.
But when you find one, especially in the current market where the gold price is increasing and the gold companies are really crying out for new projects, you can actually say that a major discovery will be a company maker.
That's right. Your move into Ethiopia started when you initiated the Sheba exploration in September 2009. Can you go into some detail about what you're looking to develop with your interest in Ethiopia?
Well, there's a belt of rocks called the Arabian-Nubian Shield, which have attracted a lot of interest. The Centamin Sukari mine in Egypt, which is 10 million ounces, went into production in not too distant past. There's been known gold production from Saudi Arabia, a lot of new discoveries and interest in Eritrea. We looked at those countries in terms of, again, legal fiscal risk as well as geological potential. Egypt's an interesting place. Again, I worked there too long ago to remember, but the mining code is not favourable. It's 50% shared with the Egyptian government. You pay all the costs and take the risk. Saudi Arabia is very slow bureaucratically. Yemen, same area, but security options are not nice. And Sudan, again, is a problem. So Ethiopia was at the end of the list, but hadn't been looked at. And when we arrived there, and I've been going there for 3 years, really pleasant surprise. Beautiful country. Very open mining code, very amenable to people coming in and investing, and the geology was right. So with
hence
Sheba,
you've been building a portfolio in Ethiopia.
And hence we built a portfolio. Sheba was the first one. It was they'd been there doing exploration. They had an interesting project. Didn't have much in the way of financial capability, so we've gone in there and developed that to a drill stage. At the same time, expanded outside from that in the Arabian-Nubian Shield with our own projects, and those they're developing. There will be news flows on that. And as I said, then the Afar Depression, the epithermal gold discovery, which now, as we've done in Turkey, we've attracted a major mining partner in Anglo Gold Ashanti, who have agree with us that this is potentially a major new gold district, not a single project. And they're moving in to drill the Magenta project that will now be in February. It's $1 million committed over a year, including that drilling, and then the ability to earn to 51% by spending $3 million over 2 years. So that's de-risked it. I mean, because we hope that will be a major discovery. We can't bank on it, but what it means is that we can also keep finding new projects in that same area and increase the probability of success.
So if we look at what could come up in the next 12 months with your interest in Ethiopia, what might we see?
We've got, we will say, moving to drilling in Magenta, which is in February, which I think is something we're highly excited about. We know there's gold in the system. It's a big system. What we don't know is exactly what level the gold is in the veins. So we'll be drilling this at 50, 100, and 150 meters vertical depth. if we hit the right thing, then that project will move very fast, because these things are very easy to test. Once you've hit one hole, you just step out and basically block the whole vein off. So that starts from February. We've also got ongoing results coming out of the regional program. We will probably drill a Shahagni, which is going to be done in Q2 next year. And we're making some other various discoveries which we will fast track, like we did Magenta. Magenta, I say we found it in October, we map sampled it in May, and we'll drill it in February.
Okay, and so do you intend to continue to look for new opportunities in the way of acquisitions or new licenses?
Well, not really in terms of acquisitions.
You've got enough on your hands.
No, not acquisitions in terms of other companies. No, we're generating enough internally that we will certainly take more licenses out. We have our portfolio in Ethiopia has grown and is growing as I speak. We've got applications in over similar Magenta gold discoveries, which we will announce once those licenses are approved. Likewise, in Turkey, we are looking at new conceptual plays. Turkey is still a very, very big country, very complex geology, but again, with our success rate in discovery, we're now looking at doing some big conceptual plays, like we did with the epithermal Rift Valley play, and see if we can attract a major in on projects like that.
Mm-hmm. And so can you have like too many things on your plate, and how do you know what to focus on?
That's a good question. I mean, it's very important to continually prioritize. And again, I think one of the things we're very good at is we're prepared to walk away and say, no, that's not good enough for us, or not good enough to develop or add value. So by doing that, I mean, you can jettison, so to speak, the projects, and you keep turning over and adding new ones. So I think that comes down to the quality of the management, to understand what is good, what is bad, where you should focus in terms of adding value, or where you have the best probability of success in finding a major ore body.
Mm-hmm. And what do you like about being involved in the mining industry?
Well, I've worked in over 65 countries in the last 30 years, and I've had the privilege of working with some superb people, seen some fantastic countries, and like everything else, I mean, that moment of discovery is what drives an exploration geologist, because it is unique to actually step onto something and find something that no one has found before. Is a great thrill. More importantly, it's then taking that and bringing it into a company like Stratex, adding value for the shareholders, and getting the appreciation from the market that you actually are doing the right job. And I think we're seeing that currently, finally, in the last few weeks, with an appreciation of the work we're doing, and a lot of that is backed up by having excellent major mining partners who really rubber stamp the management and our technical abilities, I hope.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a good balance on your board with Stratex International?
We do. It's a superb board. I say myself as an economic geologist as chairman, and Bob Foster, likewise, he got even more experience than me. And then supported by Christopher Hall, Peter Addison, and Perry Ashwood, all highly experienced in financials, corporate governance, and everything else. And it is, I'll have to say, it's an excellent board to work with. They understand the business, and they understand how we manage the risk.
Okay, so news for the next 6 months. What could investors expect, and why is Stratex a good investment?
Well, I mean, and on the production side, we have the feasibility study coming from Caps Cassidy. That will be finalised, and we will release the news on that, I think, early in January. Of course, when you have a feasibility study in hand, then you press the button on production. Of course, then that moves into development of those of Vinlice, and then hopefully later on Altan Tepe. So from the production side story, which people like to say, we will be a gold producer, even though that mostly will be managed by our partners. Then we have continual drilling in Turkey with both Hasan Çelebi and Oxford. And then come February, we have the Magenta drilling with Anglo Gold Ashanti, Thani Ashanti, on the new discovery in Ethiopia. So again, we will have a lot of news flow because we're highly active, and that will keep the market, I think, very well informed on what we're doing within the company.
Okay, thank you very much, David, and we look forward to watching Stratex International.